It all started with the Christmas lights, or more accurately, the lack of them. In the pristine, perpetually beige world of the Westwood Glen Homeowners Association, Christmas had a color palette. You were permitted classic white or warm white. Anything else, the reds, the greens, the blues that the rest of the world enjoyed, was deemed a violation of the holiday Decorum Accord, a document so dense it made the tax code look like a children's book. My next-door neighbor, Mr. Gable, was a widower in his late 70s. His wife, Eleanor, had adored Christmas. Every year, their house had been a joyful, chaotic explosion of multicolored lights. It was the one house on the block that felt truly alive. But since she'd passed, his house remained dark every December. This year, however, I saw him out on a ladder one afternoon, shakily stringing up a single strand of old-fashioned, multicolored C9 bulbs along his eaves. They were the big, chunky kind my grandpa used to have. It wasn't much, but seeing them flicker on that evening, a defiant rainbow in a sea of monotonous white, made my heart swell. It took less than 24 hours for the violation notice to appear on his door. The HOA president was a man named Stan Crockett. Stan was a former regional manager for a mid-level office supply company who now applied the same bureaucratic zeal to neighborhood governance. He drove a golf cart with a small orange flag on it, and he patrolled our streets with the grim determination of a prison warden. I saw him talking to Mr. Gable on his lawn. I was putting up my own approved warm white icicle lights, but I was close enough to hear. "Frank, we've been over this," Stan said, his voice dripping with condescension. "The Accord is for everyone. It ensures a cohesive and upscale aesthetic." "My Eleanor loved these lights, Stan," Mr. Gable said, his voice quiet but firm. "They were her favorite. It's been hard. I just wanted to feel a bit of that joy again." "Grief is not an exemption to the bylaws," Stan replied, utterly unmoved. "You have 48 hours to replace them with an approved color, or the fines begin." The coldness of it struck me. This wasn't about property values. This was about power. I saw Mr. Gable's shoulders slump as he went back inside. The next day, the colored lights were gone. His house was dark again, and I was furious. That night, I went on a late-night shopping trip. The next morning, as the sun rose over Westwood Glen, my house was no longer a tasteful beacon of warm white. It was a glorious, retina-searing monument to holiday chaos. I had multicolored lights blinking and chasing each other around every window. I had a projector splashing a swirling aurora of red and green onto my garage door. And on my lawn, I had a dozen of those light-up wire-frame deer, all flashing in a discordant, seizure-inducing symphony. My electric meter was spinning like a top. Stan was on my porch by 8 a.m., his face the color of a ripe plum. "What is the meaning of this, Martin?" he sputtered, waving a fistful of violation notices. "Just getting into the holiday spirit, Stan," I said cheerfully, holding a mug of coffee. "The Decorum Accord says I can't have colored lights on my house, but it says nothing about lawn ornaments or light projectors. I read it very carefully." He stared at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. He knew I was right. He'd written the rules himself, but he'd left a loophole big enough to drive a sleigh through. He stormed off, and my little rebellion began. The fines started arriving daily, which I paid, viewing them as a charitable donation to Mr. Gable's cause. But then, something wonderful started to happen. A few days later, the house 2 doors down suddenly sprouted a giant, inflatable snowman with a flashing, multicolored scarf. The family across the street put a string of bright blue lights around their mailbox. Someone else put a spiral light Christmas tree, shimmering with every color imaginable, on their porch. People were finding their own loopholes, their own small ways to join the protest. Our street, once a boring line of identical white-lit houses, was transforming into a vibrant, cheerful, and beautifully chaotic neighborhood. The dissent spread. People started showing up to the HOA meetings, which were usually just Stan and his 2 bored cronies. They questioned everything, from the landscaping budget to the approved paint colors. Stan's iron grip was slipping. The final straw came a week before Christmas. Mr. Gable came over to my house, a small, shy smile on his face for the first time in months. He was holding that string of colored C9 bulbs. "Would you mind?" he asked, nodding toward my house. "I'd be honored," I said. Together, we strung Eleanor's lights right above my front door, the centerpiece of my ridiculous display. They were the heart of the whole rebellion. Stan tried to fine me for that, of course, claiming they were attached to the house. I argued that they were attached to my light display, which was technically lawn ornamentation. The argument was absurd, but it didn't matter. By that point, half the neighborhood was in open violation of the holiday Decorum Accord, and Stan simply couldn't fight everyone. He resigned as president in January, citing personal reasons. The neighborhood elected a new board, one that immediately rewrote the holiday rules. The new rule was simple: be festive, be respectful, be a community. The following December, Mr. Gable's house was lit up like a Christmas miracle, every inch covered in the beautiful, colorful lights his wife had loved. And the rest of the neighborhood joined him. Our street wasn't cohesively upscale anymore. It was better. It was joyful. It was unique. And it felt for the first time like a home.